Hey, human family, how are you? It's Darren. Welcome to another episode of Fully Alive Again. You guys, today I really want to put on our thinking cap. I want to go deep into the abyss where very few people go. I want to discuss, is modern day psychology a hindrance or a help when it comes to transcending narcissistic abuse and thriving in the world that we live in? So if you like what you hear on the channel, please subscribe and let's do what we do and dive deep.
No tears, no fears, fully alive again after 6 years.
Is death the worst thing that can happen to any life form? Think about that. Death is the ultimate ending. But I don't think it's the worst thing that can happen to us as a species. I think that the worst thing that can happen to us are the things that die in us while we're still alive. The things that die in us that prevent us from being fully alive. There's something even more tragic than that when you really think about it. It's the capabilities, the powers that lie within us that we never untap. That is the true tragedy. Unused human potential. The greatest tragedy of human existence. There are many reasons why this type of tragedy can occur. Misinformation and the wrong strategies for living is one of the major ones. We have to be 100% honest with ourselves to tap into the enormous power we have lying dormant within us. If we're really honest with ourselves, at least if you're like me and like I was when I first started my healing journey, we have to admit that we really don't want to heal. What we want is relief. We want the pain to stop. We want to go back in time to a happier period. We want to feel safe again. We want to be held by the narcissist again. We want to go back into the matrix of the illusion we were living in and feel that comfort that we were getting from an illusion. This god-awful experience that we have gone through has been thrust upon us to catapult us into a direction of our internal power, into a deeper understanding of who and what we are as a species, as a spiritual, sentient human being. It is more of a spiritual journey than it is of a psychological journey. It's psychology versus spirituality. And they both have a place. But if you had to choose one, I would highly suggest that it's the journey deep into yourself to introduce yourself to the power that exists inside you. Here's why. I want you to think of all of the great figures throughout human history. Just think of anyone that comes to your mind during any period. Go back as far as you can think. And then ask yourself, did these people have therapy? Did they have a psychologist? Did Nelson Mandela, who survived 26 years as an innocent man, in a small 6-foot, 6x6 jail cell with a bed where his feet hung over, breaking rocks until he was an old man in the hot sun of South Africa for a crime that he did not commit, and to have his youth stolen from him, and to walk out of that cell with the beauty, the kindness, the ebullient energy, the boyish grin, the childlike energy with the massive wisdom, strength, and courage combined without having a therapist. Nelson Mandela wasn't afforded the luxury of having a therapist and a psychologist to get him through some of the most formidable realities that we can think of. How was he able to do this? He harnessed the power that exists in each and every single one of us. It is a power that is beating your heart right now without you being conscious of it. You're not telling your heart beat, 1, 2, 3, keep beating, heart. You're not telling your fingernails to grow. You're not telling the hair in your nose to grow, the hair on the back of your neck to grow. All of these things are happening naturally. There is an energy and power that makes us who and what we are. One of the things that really illuminated my journey in life was I saw Nelson Mandela before he passed. He was in an African village that had just been decimated by AIDS. It had nothing but kids who were still alive. Like the vast majority of the adults had perished from AIDS. And I'll never forget, he was talking to like a 15-year-old kid, a little boy. You could still see the baby in this kid. And the kid was crying profusely and sharing his story to Mr. Mandela, who was then the president of South Africa, about all of the obstacles and things that he had to face. And I remember sitting there watching this, saying to myself, thinking to myself, man, we are about ready to see the most beautiful act of kindness and love from Nelson Mandela. And Nelson Mandela grabbed this young boy by his shirt and he said, "Stop that crying. You are a man now. You are no longer a child. You have a responsibility to the younger children of this village. It is time to be a man. I understand your pain. I understand your sorrow. But it is time to be a man." A powerful day for that young man. There was no time for therapy. There was no time to make the world a kind, gentle place. This is the world that the kid had been dealt. It was time to harness that power that Nelson Mandela knew was inside that young man. The integrity of Nelson Mandela would have never spoke those words to that child if he wasn't 100% convinced of the power that exists in all human beings. Psychologists, therapy, and most of the modern methodologies for therapy totally miss that boat, in my opinion. And it can even prevent us from harnessing that power in multiple ways. Here's the takeaway. Deep inside you, or you would not be alive, is the power to handle everything that you're facing. Nelson Mandela had narcissists as guards, had narcissists all around him in a prison cell. You don't think? You know that's true. And they did not take away that power. That power that I'm talking about is a sense of purpose. You can go through all the therapy in the world, but if you don't have a sense of purpose, a meaning to your life, a reason to get up in the morning, you are going to miss the opportunity of being fully alive. That's why I'm begging you to dream again, to write down your goals, to think about a healthy relationship again. Do not let these monsters destroy what was once alive inside of you. Now is the time to become fully alive. Stop thinking about these sons of bitches. Get our eyes focused on the direction that we want to go. Prepare ourselves for a world with these demons in it. And let's get on with our lives. There's so much life ahead of you. So don't you dare give up on yourself. It is now. Psychology is wonderful. Therapy is wonderful. But life is a contact sport. You have to be ready for it. You have to have a drive, an ambition, a purpose, and a meaning. Find the purpose of your life. If it's just not to let the persons that hurt you win. That's what kept me pushing, is that I refused to allow these monsters to see me or have me end up curled up somewhere and to steal my dreams and my goals and my vitality. You've got to have the fight in you. That is the God in you. And the only way to find it is through silence. We live in such a noisy world. Shut down the world and try to sit in silence for as long as you can. It will do much, much more than you ever imagined. Therapy is good, but there's a lot of mumbo jumble in it. A lot of things that are irrelevant. Therapists mean well. I don't mean to impugn that they're all selling false information. In fact, here's an interesting story. To really summarize some of what I'm saying, a very interesting man, I think, is one of the thought leaders of the 20th century, a gentleman who has since passed by the name of Anthony DeMello. What made him so unique was not only he was such a scholar and world traveler, but he was a Eastern Indian Jesuit priest and clinical psychologist. And the synthesis of the two really gave this man a profound insight, meaning the insight of the spiritual and religious world and the science and the psychology world. But he told an interesting story about a young man by the name of Johnny. And Johnny was a very oppositional child, and at times he was hard to deal with. And one day he was in his class, and he was playing with clay, and the teacher had told him to put it away, and he wouldn't. So she walked over to his desk, and she said, "Johnny, what are you doing?" He said, "I'm making something." She says, "Well, what do you have there, Johnny?" He said, "I have some bullshit." She said, "Excuse me?" He says, "This is bullshit." And she said, "Okay, Johnny, and what are you making?" He said, "A teacher." Well, she had enough, and she said, "Come with me," and took him to the principal's office. Principal set him down. He continued to hold on to his clay. Principal said, "What do you got there, Johnny?" He said, "I have some bullshit." He said, "Is that right, young man, and what are you making?" He said, "I'm making a principal." The principal said, "All right, Johnny." Took him to the school, child psychologist. And she was a clever lady. I mean, this wasn't her first rodeo. So she walked over to the Johnny and she said, "Johnny, what do you got there?" She goes, "Let me guess. You have some cow doo-doo, don't you?" He said, "No, it's bullshit." She said, well, you have some bullshit. That's what I'm assuming. She goes, I know what you're making, Johnny. And he said, what? She said, you're making a therapist. And he said, no, not enough bullshit. We have to be careful wherever there is business. Wherever there is motivation, there means that there's going to be creation of product that may be useless for your life, or there's better avenues out there for us. One of the things that therapy can do, it can illuminate a path to growing up, to becoming the man and women we are designed to be. Narcissism is not new to our world. It's been here since the beginning of time. It's been called many different things over the years, but in all the scriptures across the world, all of the great religions talk of narcissism. They don't call it that. There's different names and different examples. And the names used to be in the West, in my lifetime, where it was just psychopath or crazy or a sociopath, a nutcase, etc. Narcissism is a word that's become a sexy word over the last 20 years. I get it. But when I say narcissism, I'm talking about parasitic people who want to do harm to people and are trying to ruin you and your life and to suck energy out of you. That's what I'm talking about. Malignant narcissist, whatever you want to call it, psychopath, whatever. Destructive, evil people. Evil is evil. We are in a world of such wordplay. And you gotta be nice to everyone. No. What are you, high? Are you high? Come on, man. Come on, man. There are people that you have to change your ethics. You cannot have the same morality that you have towards everyone else. That is foolishness. And anyone who's ever dealt with the real type of evil that I'm talking about, you know what I am saying is true. The ones who argue this just haven't experienced the real thing, are the narcissistic abuse at a high level. So they water this stuff down and try to make the world a safe, friendly place where we can all get along and work it out with the narcissist. And that's effing crazy. But to close this thing up, you guys, at one point in time in Africa, a young warrior would have to go into the bush with a little spear, almost the size of a large knife, and come back with a full-grown male lion's corpse. That's quite a challenge. Throughout human history, on every continent on this planet, there has been a transitioning, a ceremony into adulthood. We don't do that anymore. And we need to do it differently. Understanding narcissism now. They used to just get them out of the tribe, either kill them or chase them out of the tribe when they found people who were narcissistic doing these types of evil things. So people became covert over time and learned how to hide it. You're seeing more emboldened acts of this today for various reasons. And again, I'm digressing. But my point here is that inside of each of us, be it male or female, is a sense of grace and power that is God-given. You would not be alive if we didn't have this. Our job is to find that, harness it, protect it, and maintain it. And it's not walking around like I'm a boss or I'm an alpha or I'm a queen bee, all of that bullshit that people are hiding in today. It's about being your authentic self and connecting with that inner core. And there's a way to do that. It takes time. It takes practice. Therapy is good for illuminating a pathway to it. I don't think it's good for getting us through it, but it's good for removing a lot of the stuff that may be blocking us from even knowing that this corridor exists or accessing it. But that takes courage. Courage to change and not just search for the good old days. To be ready to change, to grow, to see the world different. It is not death itself that is the greatest tragedy. It's the things that die in us while we're alive because of the fear, the misinformation, the bullshit of the world. All right, you guys, I appreciate you guys stopping by. I hope today's show was of some value to you. Please share your comments. If you agree with me, let me know why. If you disagree with me, let me know why. I certainly don't know everything. I look forward to people who have a new insight for me or can open up a new corridor thought. So what say you? Your story matters and it helps out other people. And remember, it is better to be tricked or fooled from a narcissist ass clown, even abused and damaged by a narcissist ass clown, than to be a narcissist ass clown. All right, you guys, thanks for stopping by. I'll catch you on the next show.
No tears, no fears. Fully alive again after 6 years.